Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sharrelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this very important conversation. I decided that we should talk more about what it really takes to have a long lasting marriage. And also, we should be more proactive in engaging with engaged couples and share experiences with them so that they know that they too can make it. As we know, if you've been married or are married, marriage is not an easy thing. You know, it takes two people to be committed, and it takes two people to say, I'm going to make this work. Days are not always going to be peaches and cream. I promise you it's not. And sometimes we're going to have different styles of communication. Most often, women communicate very differently than men. And not only that, but men communicate very differently than women. And as most of us know, men communicate with their body. You know, for them, sex is everything. For women, it doesn't necessarily mean that. And so we're going to get into it today. I have some very special couples here. I'm so excited. They have been together a long time. They have figured out how to make it work. And, you know, it's not always easy. And I'm gonna tell you about something that happened this morning with me and my husband. He was trying to stress me out over something he wanted me to do. And I'm like, well, you could do it yourself. And he like, no, that's not my role. Okay, well, let me handle it my way. But you know, it is what it is. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the couples that I have here today. First off, I'm gonna bring my husband on the stage because he got issues. Welcome, babe. And I have instructed him not to try to break up anybody else's happy home because sometimes he will set out to do that. I will also like to invite to this stage Frankie Smith. Some of you all may know him. You know, of course, he is married to the gorgeous Kathy Smith. They have been together for 32 years and they are what? Making it work. I'm going to also bring on the stage our BSU homecoming CIAA every party resident DJ, Mr. Daryl Crush, and his lovely wife, Leslie. Yes, thank you all. And you know what else? We are going to bring on the engaged couple. We're going to bring on my future brother-in-law. He already in the family, but you know, we just say future because they haven't actually said I do yet. But we want to share with them you know, some tips and tricks and let them know that it's going to be all right. So I'm going to bring on my future brother-in-law, Mr. Kelvin Lloyd. And last but certainly not least, my baby sister, Miss Kiki. Come on in here, Kiki.
All right, all
Yes.
right. Woo.
Yes, this is going to be a conversation. We're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh, but we're not telling none of the real secrets. I just want my panel to know that right now because we all got real secrets and it's not for everybody. It's just for the marriage. And so I had to assure my panel today that they weren't going to have to disclose any real secrets, but just know there are some real secrets when you've been together as long as we've been together. As I said before, me and Jim been married 32 years. Kathy and Frankie been married 32 years. Crush and his lovely wife Leslie has been married 28 years, and Kiki and Kelvin been together 5 years. So we have some longevity on this panel. Not only do we have some longevity on this panel, we have some love on this
Yeah,
panel,
yeah.
and it's called Black Love. And the media want us to think that black couples can't make it, but guess what? We get ready to show them exactly how we make it. And so, with that being said, I'm gonna ask Jim first. My first question for you, babe,
All
and
right.
because I'm letting the panel warm up so they can see what the question gonna be. And they put
Thank
their
you.
answers together.
Nobody tried me to cheat. I can't cheat.
So my first question for you, babe, is how did you know I was the one?
Oh.
Ooh, wow. Uh, there was just something about her that I seen, I liked, and okay, let's be honest, it's all physical attraction at first, period. Then once I get to meet you, you were like me.
Oh,
We clicked,
that's
and,
good.
and yeah, that's a good thing, or else you wouldn't have lasted long. But no, she was like me, and we got along real well. She was laid back, and we were able to hang out. That's what we realized early. We were able to hang out together, and that's a beginning. If you can stand to be around the person for a while, then you can work on everything else. But if you can't stand to be around them from the get go, yeah, that's not going to work.
Okay, let me move my question over to Kathy. Kathy, how did you know that Frankie was the one?
So I think he should answer that question
No,
first.
I got a story for you, though. I'll tell you this.
okay, come
He
on,
has he
Frankie.
has a
Yeah,
Go
of
story.
ahead,
course.
Frank. There's always
So
three.
I saw Kathy 2 years before I met her and told my best friend that she was going to be my wife.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that came with that decision, if you will, was her lips. She was in the car full of her friends, and she had on this bright red lipstick, and her mouth was just moving and chirping. I was like, wow, that girl is beautiful. Who is she? So, I ended up doing what I do for those 2 years, and I would call myself growing up, and the Lord preparing me for her before I actually met her. So when I did meet her, it was the day I went over with Kappa. I went over, and Bernard, who's my back door, introduced me to her, and our conversation was just on point. So it just validated that initial feeling I had, and I put on the full court press to go get her. And
Right? Okay, we're gonna stay with the men and then we're gonna ask the women. Crush, how did you know Leslie was the one?
Ooh. At first I didn't know she was the one. When we initially crossed paths, I was married to somebody else and was splitting up, and she was married to somebody else and was miserable. And I actually met her at a wedding that I was doing. And at the time, I was an emotional wreck. Me and my wife had just split, and she came up to the turntables and asked the guy that was DJing with me. She asked him to play something, and when she turned and walked away, I said, "Yo, Wax." I said, "See, that's the type of woman I need to marry. How can I get a woman like that?" And they said, "Be careful what you pray for, because that's what I got."
Okay, Kelvin, how did you know Kiki was the one? You proposed.
Yeah, I did propose. I think first, like Jim said, it was definitely physical attraction for real at first. And then I think we maybe it was 3 weeks into our courting situation, we had a back and forth, like a disagreement, and she called me and was like, what, I'm sorry, I apologize. And when a woman apologizes, you don't get that too often, so you might want to, take care of that. You want to take advantage of that. So it was the fact that she apologized. She's cute. She's a amazing woman. She has a great personality, and it took me 5 years, 4 years, but we're good to go. So
Okay.
that's it.
All right, Kathy, I'm going back to you. How did you know Frankie was the one?
Well, ironically, I met Frankie on my birthday, and my roommate and his roommate were dating, and his roommate's like, "I have a perfect person for you," and you know, his smile, obviously he's very nice looking. And I think obviously that's part of the criteria. No, I'm just teasing. But no, we are, we're actually born one day apart. We're so much a lot of like, but also different. But we were just very compatible. Everything was just so easy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I knew that was the person.
Okay, Miss Leslie, how did you know Crush was the one?
I
You saw him at
didn't. Not. I did not. I did not. I did not. I met him at the Black Expo that was down here, DJ. He had a booth. And we're here in Charlotte. And I was like, how did these New York brothers Yankee cap on? He had a Yankee cap on and Tim's. I was like, nah, I done had enough of that. Okay. But we lived right next door to each other. His apartment complex was here. Mine was right next door. He called me one night. He got my number from somebody else. He called me. He's like, are you hungry? I could eat. I could walk over to his apartment. I walked over. He offered me a Heineken. He was like, do you want the Heineken in a bottle or, in a glass? I said, it's a Heineken in the bottle. He's like, I'm going to marry you.
All right.
We have been together ever since that night.
Wow.
Usually they say a way to a man's heart is through his stomach, but I see that work for you instead. Okay,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the funny thing right now going on is that the men were the initiators. We seen you females before you all seen us, so we must have known what we wanted, or thought we wanted.
I agree with that, Jim.
Don't do that. Kiki, how did you know Kelvin was the one?
So I did not know Kelvin was the one. I thought God was playing a trick on me because he's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh God, I don't think I'm supposed to be with somebody younger than me. But so we was having a conversation one day. Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
Don't start crying. You're a crybaby, y'all.
So I am. I was born with something called hydrocephalus, which means fluid on the brain. By the time I was 20, I had 19 brain surgeries. We was having a conversation one day, and I was explaining to him, my condition. That's all I said. All I said was I had 19 brain surgeries. I have a condition called hydrocephalus. This man went home, came back the next day, and was like, so if this happens, I have to do this. Like, are you having any headaches or you feeling sick or anything like that? At that moment, I knew he was the one. I knew that he was the person that I was supposed to marry because I've been through plenty of relationships and they never cared about me in that way. So yeah, that was the moment that I knew he was the one.
All right.
So
I love that.
Yes. I just found out Jim was the one like about 2 o'clock today. Now, when I met Jim at Virginia State and I looked across, I will never forget this. I looked across that cafeteria and I saw him and I was like, oh, he is so fine. I didn't think he was the one. I just thought he was fine. And so once I got to know him, I was like, oh, he's strange. And then, because back then he used to, be like really cool and laid back. He didn't talk a lot. And then all of that changed. And so I was like, oh, okay, I think I can hang out with this brother a little while. And one day just led to the next. And the next thing I know, it was 40 years later. And here we are. So I'm going to ask each couple to, and anybody, either the wife or the husband or Kiki or Kelvin, the engaged couple, could answer this question. How would you summarize your years together?
I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
So Kelvin is the first dude I've ever lived with, besides family members or anything like that. So I think in the beginning of our relationship, it was really tough because I had to adjust to him and he had to adjust to me. But through the years, we've been through some hard times, some good times. I had to have emergency surgery to get my appendix taken out. Kelvin took care of me. But I'm not saying our relationship is perfect or anything
No,
like that.
none
But
of them are.
huh?
None of
Yeah,
them
I would
are.
say we are in a good situation. But he's always been consistent with me. And I think that was important for me because I've really never had a guy that has been so consistent with me. He's always had my back, and I can't wait till July 20th.
Okay, all right.
Awesome.
So Leslie and Crush, how would you summarize all the years you all been together?
Sitcom?
Not on. We are a
Yeah.
sitcom.
Romantic comedy. Yeah, literally, it's been a nonstop sitcom. If we put cameras up in here, oh yeah, Tyler Perry'd have a ball over here.
What?
We were in Black Enterprise magazine some years ago, and when it came out, we was mad because we didn't make the cover. We made the inside cover or whatever. Like, but everybody was like, are y'all a new sitcom? We are a sitcom.
Okay. Kathy and Frankie.
I would say, we've been together for almost 5 decades. So we've essentially grew up together as adults. And we all know that we individually, we evolve in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s and 50s. And so through those decades, they've been learning and love and trials, tribulations, babies, all of those things. But I honestly say that we really have grown up together, growing together as an adult.
Work in progress. That's what we are.
Yeah.
Work in
Every
progress.
day, brother, every day.
Every day.
We're all a work in progress. Babe, how would you summarize our years together? And watch your mouth.
We're like a giant redwood tree. You know, we just keep growing and growing and growing. We started off from a seed, and you know, we're in the 4 decades together. You know, that type of longevity, man. You owe a responsibility to yourself to make an effort. You know, to make everything work. You know, you just feel like right now. You know, somebody told me I'm 59 and a half, but life gets way better in your 60s.
Come on now.
I'm like, wow, okay. And I can feel that. You know, I can feel that. My 50s has been well, you know, and I'm like, wow, okay. So, and we just hit retirement age, and we hit retirement. So I'm excited to see what that brings.
Good. I'm excited too. So I would summarize it as exhilarating, right? Because we have, as like Kathy and Frankie crushing them, grew up together. I met Jim when I was 18 years old. And so I've been with him my entire adult life. And so, just being able to navigate this thing called marriage together is, of course, been a lot of highs, and thank God it's been more highs than lows. And so just being able to work through those lows and know that both of us were committed to the lows together and making sure that we could, overcome the challenges of being married and living with somebody your entire life, and not sweating the small stuff. And so I would just say that, I would summarize it as I couldn't ask for a better spouse. So, question: what strategies have you used to overcome the not so good times? How did you get through that?
My dad, when we got married, my parents were married for 36 years before my dad passed away. And, he always used to say, marriage is a job. I'm telling you. He goes, I'm going to give you 3 things. Put God first, stick to the argument, right? And when I say stick to the argument, I mean Something you argued about last week, you don't need to bring down the list, right? You stick in the moment of the argument, so it's easier to forgive. And then always try to touch feet, even when you're mad. And putting God first has always been, I think, been our center. Yep. And when we try to have that list and that list gets really long, it's hard to forgive. And so you get back to the basics of, it's not important. It puts things in perspective. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think those things have helped.
What about you, Crush and Leslie? How did you all get through the not so great times? What strategies did you use?
We're a sitcom. I told you we're a sitcom. But I'll tell you one thing is we do laugh a lot. We laugh a lot. It was like during COVID, like stuck in here together. That's it. He was like, "Where you going? Where I'm going? We ain't going nowhere." So like,
right.
But early on in the marriage, he was like, "I don't do that arguing. I don't do all of that." And he said, "And I definitely don't do that. We're not speaking to each other in this house." And
ooh,
I'm straight out. I want to argue with you, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't do that." So I learned not to argue and to talk. And he's like, "Yeah, we definitely don't do the I'm not speaking to you. That doesn't happen in our household." He put a stop to that immediately, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, all right."
That was one of my questions, Leslie, about the silent treatment.
Yeah, there is no silent treatment.
And so sometimes, particularly for me, it's better for me not to speak than to say what I'm thinking, because it's easier for me to come back from not saying what I'm thinking versus saying what I'm thinking. Because being from the South Side of Chicago and is the way that I grew up, we got a lot of words. And sometimes the words are not always, the words you should be using. And so sometimes I have to retreat into myself to ensure that I don't say the things that I'm thinking. Like we were watching TV the other day and he said something and I said to him, "You should be so proud right now that I'm not saying what I'm thinking." So I've learned.
And we laughed.
Right. I've learned over the years not to say or always say what I'm thinking in the moment, particularly if I'm angry about something. So, and I wasn't even angry that night. I was just like, "Ooh, he just opened up a door I could walk through, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it ride." So Kiki and Kelvin, what about you all? What strategies have you used?
I think like Crush and Lisa, at the beginning, I was like, we're not raising our voices.
Leslie.
I'm sorry, Leslie. I apologize. But we're not raising our voices. That's one thing that we're not gonna do. I'm not gonna yell at you, and you're not gonna yell at me. I just went through a journey of personal self, not self control, but just personal self development. And my peace is important to me. So you're not gonna disturb my peace. And so that was the first thing that we talked about, is just having a conversation and communicating to one another. I mean, if we can't communicate, then you could text it to me. That's fine too, but just no yelling. And then at the end of the day, we just make up, at least we hug each other. So.
And good luck, because our family is loud. Like,
I already know. And then too, my piece is a cigar and bourbon. So I just go to the cigarage and smoke my cigar and have a little bourbon, and that helps me out too.
Kelvin, I'm coming to hang out with you.
Come on, we have a good time. But the biggest thing too, though, is just to listen to what her concerns are, because I also can overtake the conversation. And so for real, I just need to first sit back and just hear her out for real. And once I hear what she has to say, then I can rebuttal or just say, you're right. And then keep it like that. So that's what we try to do. It don't always work out like that, but that's the goal,
That's a great goal too.
Let me ask the husbands, how many times have you said you right?
Most of the time I say you got it. Most of the time, 95%.
Okay, let me ask the wives, how many times have you said you right?
Oh, Every now and then.
Wow.
Right.
Look at Leslie.
Every now and then, maybe once a week, maybe. I don't know.
That
Look.
often? You good. Frankie, you got a good one.
Look.
I don't recall those situations at all.
Look, they only said please, thanks, and sorry were the keys to a happy marriage. Not you're right.
Your marriage is not the place to stand for your rights. It is not.
You know, the other thing too is sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. You know, that's the
Absolutely.
thing too. You know, we all have different perspectives, and you know, like for Frank and I we're literally a day apart, the same year. So you've got to be able to understand. Like we, you know, Pisces can be mean, vindictive. And so you and when I say that, I mean, you know, holding grudges, all those little things in general as a zodiac. But in a relationship, you have to look at it differently. You know, his opinion matters, and you know, sometimes he's right. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you're right. And
you do that with the eye roll too? I
see your point. Yeah, I probably should have navigated that way, but
so you just brought up the zodiac signs. My daughter Morgan, she might be watching. If you watch,
she is.
But I'm a Gemini and he's a Libra. Completely balance each other. We balance each other.
Yes.
Because he's not gonna when I'm. He's like,
Leslie, I'm married to a Gemini.
You said what?
I'm married to a Gemini, so when you do this, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Geminis are like living with two people.
Yes, absolutely. The twins. And the twins be twinning.
I could wake up in the morning and look at her face and tell which one she was. One day she'd be Leslie, one day she'd be Tanya. And if she was Tanya, okay, I knew, all right, tread lightly that day because she's Tanya. You could see it. Over the years, it's gotten to the point where it's not you get spurts now. It's not before like you get days. But that's because we've both grown, and I know you're gonna find this hard to believe, but I'm not the easiest guy to live with.
No.
Not you, Crush.
I know.
Y'all know what it's like being married to DJ Daryl Crush, the star of the show?
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Does he let you pick music?
He has his studio set up in what should be my dining room. But if that makes him happy, go ahead. You know, it makes him happy.
There you go. Sometimes, the fight ain't even worth it.
It's not.
Hey, they say the same stuff, different house. Before Sharrelle had her female cave, the Bears room down in the basement, she used to put all her bear paraphernalia up in the great room. As soon as you walked in the house during football season, all that stuff used to be in our family room.
And you were traumatized seeing the Chicago Bears when you walked in.
No, he was not, because he had the
I
red.
know I would have been traumatized.
So let me ask this question. Do you think it's more important to like or love your partner?
Like.
I'm going to answer first. Right. I think it's more important to like them, right? Okay. Because you can love anybody, but you don't like everybody. Right. And if you like will get you through the hard times because you still like that person, even though you might be struggling with something. I think it's just so important to like. You can love somebody and just not like them. And if you got to live with this person, you want to make sure you like them. So that's just my perspective.
I think both are important. I think you have to like, but you can like someone and not love them.
Yes.
And I think both are important, but I do think that there has to. I think when I hear like, I hear you appreciate that person, you like who they are, you value the things that they bring. Mm-hmm. When I hear likeness, why are you laughing? Smiling.
Because there's so many times where I don't like you and you don't like me.
Okay.
I love you every day.
So you have these periods where you
That's
don't
true.
like your partner.
That's true.
Okay.
That is true. That is
You
true.
have
I think the love to me is the baseline for
Okay.
everything.
Yeah, you're not gonna like them every day. That is for sure.
You're not.
You just
And we
not.
don't.
And I think a lot of people get married thinking that they're gonna like this person every day, and that's just not realistic.
It's not.
And
We're
you have to
human.
understand, we've all been married a long time, so a person changes and evolves.
Yes.
So you like this new version of the person.
Mm.
I
Come on,
have a
Leslie.
new version. He's retired now. It's a new version of him. He was he was a parent. That was a version of him, you know?
That's right.
So you have to like each version of the person.
That is so true because we're
Yeah.
not the same. And being 50, because I think we're all, well, Jim and is closer to 50, but some of us are still, you know, in our late 50s. But when you get to your 50s, like you say, you literally have accepted your partner for the things that they have evolved to. And if you
Yes.
don't, those are the people who are getting divorced later on in their marriages because they wake up and they're like, we're not compatible anymore.
So we have a comment that says from Kim, I need to love you as opposed to like, because if I like you, I can do without you.
Ooh.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we all touched on that when, you know, we said we met. You know, most of the men said, I seen you, then I approached you. Then we figured out we liked you. And then it grew from there. And, you know, the love came in somewhere, you know, because we all didn't immediately love each other. So I liked you first. Then it started evolving and it's part of growth into love. And, you know, where we are now in our lives, Kathy, almost 60, that
We right behind you, Jim.
For yourself, I'm not behind him yet.
He's always going to be ahead of us, though.
And now we realize what we need to do to nourish that love and keep it going. And then, you know, and even when, you know, you have those fallouts, you know, that's when you say, you know, I like that person.
I like you today.
I really like her, you know, so I'm gonna get over this.
So let me ask you all this question. Do you think that if you're married, that you can and should have friends of the opposite sex?
So friendship is fluid, right? You know, and as you become an adult, you realize that regardless of gender, but I do think there's boundaries. Like I don't think either one of us have like a best friend that integrates with us in that way.
No.
Yeah. But we do have friends that we integrate. It's mutual.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Kiki and Kelvin? What do you all think about that topic?
I don't have any male friends no more.
Why?
Yeah, because all my male friends probably liked me.
Mm.
So once Kelvin came in the picture, they was probably like, no. Mm-mm. But Kelvin does have a good female friend, Sonia. Her name's Sonia, right? Oh, Sonia, and I don't mind him talking to her. So,
But it's not an all day thing. And the thing too about that is I tell Kiani the whole time, hey, this is what's going on. She texted me today. So it's not like it's being secretive, you know, everything is upfront, you know, so I don't want to hold anything from her and things like that. And other than that, I mean, it kind of is what it is. As long as you're upfront with me, hey, I talked to so and so today, we did this. I really don't have an issue with it because I think our bond is solid. You know, and I think that's just kind of where we are with it. So I think the communication for us is, hey, I had a conversation with old girl today. You know, what y'all talk about this? You know, and just keep it upfront and honest. That's kind of where I am with it.
Okay, Leslie and Crush.
I'll go
Been together We've been together 28 years. Where are we going?
He ain't going.
But
Daryl has a lot of friends. A lot of friends. Probably more friends than me. But here's the funny part. And you know, it's a podcast. People want to get, let's get in nitty gritty. Let's talk fun. Daryl's like, oh shit, what's she gonna say? What's she gonna say? Like, I have a friend who is an old friend of mine that is a family friend. He comes, he stayed here at our house, and Daryl's like, I love when he comes around. The reason why is because he's a total asshole, and Daryl's like, makes me look good. Every you know, Daryl, like, yeah, I said, Daryl, can he stay? And people are like, yo, you let him stay? He's a family friend now. Like, he's with, like, family. And Daryl's like, yep, love it when he comes. He's a family friend. Daryl and him are good, whatever. But, you know, through the years, we've had friends. They've fallen off, whatever. But you also have to be confident in yourself. And I'm married to a very confident man. And he's like, don't give a damn. She coming home every night. I take good care of her. I provide for her. I keep her a safe home. Where's she going? Ain't nobody out there.
But I think the issue is that it's mutual and it's respectable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that both parties, and we have friendships like that, but yeah.
Babe, what do you think? Well, what do you know?
We're way past that in our lives. Sharrelle has more male friends than I have female friends, but you know, I've known her since she's 18, and I've been 20. You know, so I know who they are, and you know, I'm cool with it. So.
Yeah, I grew up with 7 sisters, and so I never felt the need to have more girlfriends. And because we were a house full of women, many guys, you know, just navigated towards us, and we've just always been cool. And so I'm cool with having male friends, but at any point, if they try to holler, it's over, right? Because I'm not about that life, and we're not getting ready to do that. And I am, and even now, if I meet a guy and we just happen to click, you know, I'm going to introduce him to my husband, and I'm going to let him know that this is who I'm going to be with, and we can integrate you into our, you know, into our friendship circle. But it's not going to be none of that hanky panky funny stuff, because I'm not about that life. And so I just, you know, I just know that there are, you know, men and women out there that are insecure and they struggle with this topic. And so I wanted to bring it up because I want people to see that it can happen, right? And as you are married, you know, yes, you're going to have your couple friends, right? Friends who are also a couple, like me, Kathy, and Jim and Frankie, we hang out, right? And that's cool. But, you know, just because I tend to get along a lot better with men than I do women for whatever reasons, I don't know. Or that's just the way I was, you know, raised, or that's just been my experience. I don't have any issues with having, you know, friends of the opposite sex. And so I wanted to talk about that because people really struggle with that. And, you know, and sometimes it's a deal breaker, right? And so I heard on the radio the other day that this guy wrote in a letter, and he was saying that he basically lost the love of his life over a glass of champagne. And he said he had gone to the school, to the child's school with his girlfriend, and another guy that was there brought his girlfriend a glass of champagne. Didn't speak to him, didn't, you know, try to acknowledge him. And, you know, he had a problem with that. And I get it, right? But as far as I'm concerned, it was incumbent upon her to make the introduction, right? And then I know Jim would have been like, good, now that you done brought her one, can you go get me one?
Yeah, that's right.
And so I know people struggle with that. Sharon said, love is the foundation. I can like and unlike a person easily. That's not a good thing, Sharon. She said easily. But with love, it solves a multitude of these, whereas liking someone doesn't. And so I thought that, you know, was a good comment to repeat. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like people on the outside of your relationship look at your relationship like it's perfect?
Yes. Very much so.
I just because I don't think anyone's relationship is perfect.
Nobody.
Right? You know,
Well,
looking from the
even
outside,
girlfriend relationships. No relationship's perfect. So no, I think people see that. I would say people see that we're committed. That we're in it together. But perfect? No, I don't think so.
I know people put our relationship up on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember somebody saying to us, one of the things they admire about our relationship is that we don't put it out on, put our business out on social media. But I'm just like that's not where it belongs. And so that's never even a question, right? I'm not gonna be posting on social media. He getting on my nerves right now. Even if he getting on my nerves right now. Now I never get on his nerves, but
Never
like
have.
an iceberg metaphor, right? People see a marriage and a couple that's been together, and they admire that, and they want that for themselves.
Yes.
Okay, and they think that it's easily achieved, but it's not. I mean, when that preacher says, "And the two shall become one," he didn't tell me that two becoming one had to happen every day.
Right.
He left that part out. Okay. Every single day, there are situations, there are issues that you have to compromise with your partner with, that you have to discuss with and find a way together to progress. We talk about male friends and female friends and having them. I like what you said, Sharrelle. You have boundaries. It's not freedom to do whatever you want to do. You're married. Okay. So that's done. But you can certainly have friendships that are important to you if your spouse is okay with it. If your spouse is not okay with it, then you have something to negotiate.
Absolutely. Yes.
Very well said, baby.
About that. Do people put you all's relationship up on the pedestal?
Who you asking?
You and Leslie.
Oh yeah, they think our relationship is perfect. Oh, Daryl, you ain't got nothing to complain about. Blah 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 blah. Nah, compared to some other folks, I don't have anything to complain about. But my philosophy is, if I aim for perfection, I'll wind up somewhere near excellence.
Yes.
So every day I try to go out of my way, not just to tell her that I love her, but to show her with the little stuff, bringing her coffee by her bedside, packing her stuff up for when she's running late for work, starting her car up, taking her computer out to the car, making sure she has everything before she rolls out of here. Because if I don't do that little stuff, somebody, I'm always looking in the rearview mirror. I mean, if somebody else comes along and can do better than me, then hey, dude, you can have it. But my goal is ain't nobody outdoing it.
So my saying is, if Jim leave me, he got to take me with him. I don't know what to do.
I'm spoiled, completely, undeniably spoiled, but not with stuff.
Right.
Not with stuff.
Right.
I don't need diamonds and pearls, and I don't need that kind of stuff. But every morning, I get hot water and lemon with a pinch of Himalayan salt brought to my bedside.
Oh,
10 minutes later, then 10 minutes later, he's making my coffee with cinnamon in it.
Right.
It better be 10 minutes too. It better not be 12 minutes. She's looking like
to show up.
Yeah. He lays out my neti pot for me. He warms up my car for me. And this is while he was working. Now he's retired. It's even better. But he gets the reciprocal now. Okay. I know how to make a good bourbon. Okay. With the ice cube in it. I know how to do that. I know how to make his dinner. I know how to put his plate in front of him purposely when everybody's over. Okay. Serve this food. I know how to make him know that he's the king of the household. Is it easy? It is not.
Nah.
But is it worth it? Indeed. We are the Kelsons.
Hey.
Leslie, I had some work to do in that area about that food.
Well, I learned that from a a woman who just recently passed away, and I'm going to tell y'all, Thanksgiving, kids are real young. I make, you know, their plate. I go to make my plate to go sit down with my children while he's watching football with a Heineken in his hand with his boys. And she stepped me, older woman said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Sitting down with my children." And she said, "No, baby, go in there and make his plate." I said, she said, "Go make his plate and watch how he responds when you give him his plate in front of all those fellas." I did it. Boy, he just, all the other fellas, yeah. I've been doing it ever since.
I'm gonna have to edit this part out, Leslie.
No. I'm so glad Kathy heard that right there.
Kiki, you over there making Calvin's plate?
I do it sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Not all the time, but sometimes, yes.
That's all right. We got time. We got time.
Yeah,
They're just getting started.
Oh wow.
You know what?
One thing I want to say is that I can't speak for everybody else, but in my household, you know, growing up, people ask, like, you know, I guess its bottom line is, how do you want to be treated? You know, because, you know, it's like do unto others. If you want to, you know, if you want some, you're gonna get some, you know. But if you do this and the other person sees it, then they may do this, and you're both build upon that. And like, I can't, you know, how did I, you know, it's not like I watched anybody, and my father, you know, didn't do that for my mother. You know, why would I, you know, make her breakfast in the morning? My father didn't do that. You know, why would I go out and start up her car? My father didn't do that. So where did I learn to become a loving husband? And I guess I teach myself, because you take pieces from here and there. And just like you said, Leslie, the older lady came to you and said, "Hey, do this and watch." And you took that, and then you guys built from that, you know? And so it's both of you, us, you know, just trying to outdo each other, really. And then we see each other's happiness because of that. And you want to see it more.
Yes.
Leslie said a whole mouthful, no jokes aside. She said a whole mouthful. And it's so important. And a lot of men struggle with this, right? About how to treat their wives. Because if you're not treating your wife well, then you with the wrong person. If you're not doing those small things, I cannot tell you the last time I've been to a gas station to pump no gas. I can't tell you the last time I took out some, well, I probably ain't took out no trash since I was a kid. And I mean, it's the small things, right? And like Jim really, he goes above and beyond. I'm not necessarily a flower girl, but he will buy me flowers regularly, and I appreciate that, even though, you know, that's not necessarily my thing. It's the thought that counts, right? It's the effort that he put in to make those things happen. And so, you know, washing the car, like, you know, some people would take that for granted, right? Or for me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna wash the car. So the fact that he's going out there to wash the car, and when I leave the house and he's not coming with me, he come outside, stand on the porch, till I pull away, right? And it's the small things like that that make a huge difference, and it makes me feel special. It makes me feel like he care and that he want to do these things for me. And so you said a whole mouthful. Now I got to work on that cooking thing, Leslie. I can cook, it just ain't my thing. But he cooks, right?
Yeah,
And
so does Frankie. Yeah.
yeah, he cooks all the time. And so he told me a long time ago, just because you don't cook don't mean I ain't gonna eat. I said, well, let's see.
He makes good breakfast. He makes the best breakfast.
When the last time she ate? When's the last time you ate today?
Earlier today when you fixed me breakfast.
I've eaten twice since then, lunch and dinner.
No, I didn't even get breakfast today because I had a hair appointment.
All right, so yeah.
You slipping.
Look, I'm cool.
Yeah, and a lot of times men, and I'm gonna put that in air quotes, right? Some men think that those traditional men roles is what should happen in 2024. But you really just have to do what works for your relationship. And if you walking around beating your chest talking about I'm the man and I don't do no cooking, I don't do no cleaning, I don't do this, I don't do that, it's just not gonna work, right? Not in 2024. And so it's so important for couples to decide what works for them. Yes, like Jim said, you might see some other couples and you take little pieces from them and you incorporate that. But in terms of what really works for you is what works for you as a couple. And so we know after 40 years that I'm the administrator and he's logistic. We know that. And so there's no debate about it. And so, I do my part, he do his part, and both parts are equally as important.
Yes.
Well, I know with Kiki, I got to do acts of service. I'm still trying to figure what those services are, though.
We'll have a sidebar conversation.
Today.
Okay. All right.
You'll learn.
I'm learning. I'm still learning.
And you have a whole lifetime to get it right, right?
Right.
And it's not always going to be right. And so
Right.
I'm going to ask Kiki and Kelvin, do you all have any questions you would want to ask us who have managed to stay together after all this time?
So how were you guys able to stay together 25 plus years? Like, what was the glue that held your relationship together for 25 plus years?
Let me take a stab at it. There is no magic formula, if you will. When we first got together, actually before we got together, a couple that had been married, I don't know, 8-10 years. They had told me one time that during a relationship and during a marriage, they always talk about, well, it's got to be 50-50. It's rarely 50-50. Sometimes it's 60-40. Sometimes it's
95-5.
But when you get to where sometimes it's 95-5, that 5% person may be ready to walk out the door. The person that's carrying the 95%, you've got to put the family on your back and carry them through the fire.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to letting that 5% person walk. You tell, look, this is the family. I'm working with this. Okay, you're only putting 5% in now, but I'm going to carry us through this till you come back around. And that advice has gotten us through that and gotten me through the years. As far as remembering that, okay, it's not always going to be 50-50. Sometimes to do pretty much, you're going to feel like you're doing everything, but you're doing everything for the sake of the family and for the sake of keeping this relationship going. So to answer you, to summarize it, just remember in the tough times, and it's going to be tough times. They always talk about for better, for worse. Worse is usually something you never imagined.
Absolutely.
When worse hits, you've got to remember, if I can just hold on through this, it's going to be all right, because that's not going to last forever. And so from our perspective, or from my perspective, that's how we've been able to stay together for so long, because someone's always been always been willing to shoulder the load when the other person couldn't.
You just said a mouthful, Crush. Not
That was
able,
great, man.
willing. You got to be willing.
You literally hit it. Like,
Yes, absolutely. So so my final question for my panel is this. As parents, right? Sometimes we have a different way of parenting. And so how are you able to work through the different ways of parenting?
I think to me, I think it's in cycles, right? I think when they're little, there's small things. I think as they become adults, I think Frankie, obviously with our baby girl, there's nothing she can do wrong, but there are a lot of things as a mother that has to happen. And, you know, I think we've learned to yield. We've learned to try to, it's not always, it doesn't always work out like that. But at the end of the day, we try to have a common voice. But there's definitely been, you know, that takes, it takes work. Sometimes he knows, listen, your mom's mad. Don't put me in the middle. I'm good for you, but you're gonna have to deal with it, and vice versa. You know, I would say that. I don't know if you had anything different.
No, I have to agree with that. Go ahead, Leslie.
As far as parenting, we got very lucky. I guess we came from the same era, the same place. We both from New York. Our parents, so we maybe the marriage went like this, but as far as parenting, we were on the same page from the beginning with parenting. And I'll tell everybody in front of the world, like, I married wisely. Crush, y'all call him Crush, Daryl, is an excellent. I chose the best person to have children with. He is an excellent father. He's never missed a game. I miss games. Okay, I miss games all the time. He doesn't miss a game. He shows up and he shows out. I even told my daughter, I said, you need to thank me. She said, why do I need to thank you? I said, because I chose wisely the man I chose to have children with. And she said, broke the mold with daddy. I know these guys, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. But it is, we chose wisely. And, you know, we beat the kids. We beat them. Okay, it's in the Bible. Beat them a little, but we also talk about it.
I don't think.
You are not alone in that.
Instead of raw and spoil a child, right?
That's right. We beat them, but not all the time. But then we learn to talk to them too, you know. And we just always been on the same page with parenting.
Your daughter just chimed in the comment section. She said, "An excellent father."
Aww.
Aww.
My kids. Money, Daryl. She want money. She want
money. See, Mama knows.
And so I'm going to ask Kiki and Kelvin, because Kelvin has children, but Kiki does not. And so how do you all manage to bring together this blended family?
That was easy for me because I got 18 nieces and nephews. So having two more was, he say, stop buying them stuff. And I'm like, but why not? Easy for me. So yeah, and they're good
I would
guys.
say for real, the biggest thing for me was the communication with their mothers, because it's two kids, two mothers. And for me, I really wasn't supporting that at first because I wasn't with them. I didn't want to have any communication with them. I was done. But as I matured, I knew I had to, you know, bring that relationship back. And so Kiki, she was more mature than I was in that sense. And so she was able to formulate relationships with them. And that made it a whole lot better. And it made it a safer space for the mothers to feel safe to say, hey, allow my kids to come into your house, you know. And so that was a big thing first. And then when it comes to discipline, luckily for me, the kids, they don't really need too much discipline right now. I mean, I got a 12-year-old and I got an 8-year-old, and all they want to do is play Nintendo or Wii or whatever the new game system is right now. So it's been a real joy to be able to bring my two kids in with Kiki. So,
well, we are Team Higgins against our kids. Tag team, if that's what it takes. Right, and they know we're Team Higgins, and their Team Higgins won, right? And they know that they can't play us off each other because that's not gonna work in their favor. And they know that when they ask their father something, he's gonna say, "Go ask your mama," unless there's something like something wrong with my car. Then they know not to talk about that because I don't have nothing to do with that. I can't help you. And so it's just so important for parents to be on the same page when you're raising kids, because a lot of couples, you know, typically the mother, but sometimes the father, spend so much time and investment in the kids as they're growing up. And then when the kids become adults, they have disconnected from the spouse in such a way that the relationship been over for years. and then the relationships fall, just really, they just dissolve the relationship. And so we've always made sure that we stay connected to each other as we raised our kids and put our relationship
That's
above
right.
raising the kids, because now the daughter doesn't live home and the son lives here, but when I tell you he's not thinking about us, the boy, he ain't thinking about us. We would have been stuck with each other, looking at each other like, I don't really know you. I haven't really talked to you in the last 21 years. I haven't really bonded with you over the last 21 years because he's the youngest. And so it's like extremely important. Babe, you got something you want to add to that?
Nah, other than, the kids, I have my relationship with the kids, and Sharrelle has her relationship with the kids, and then we have our relationship with the kids. And they understand it, and they know who to go to when they need. But they're kids. Kids. They're just kids.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all, Kiki and Kelvin. I hope that you all got something from this and know that longevity is possible, and that that you're going to go through things, and you all been together for a minute anyway, so you already know that. But there, like Crush said, you can get to the other side of it, and when you get to the other side of it, it's going to be better. And as you all continue to mature and age and go through things and have all the ups and the downs, that you can still stay connected and be together, love each other, trust each other, respect each other, and grow together. So with that being said, I want to say thank you all. I'm gonna take my panel off screen so I could do the what the hell segment, because that seems to be a popular segment and I don't want to disappoint people today. So again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about what the hell. As you see that we just had our married couple panel giving advice to an engaged couple. And I just want the engaged couple to know that they are going to say, what the hell, when it comes to your fiance. And when you get married, you're going to continue to say, what the hell? I said, what the hell, just this morning, because again, he was trying to get me to do something that I wasn't ready to do yet, but he wanted to stress me out about it. So I was laying in the bed thinking, what the hell? If it's that important to you, why don't you go do it yourself? But he didn't do that, because he was like, well, I can say whatever I want to. And you don't tell me I can only say it one time. So, even though it wasn't like a serious argument or anything, you're going to say to yourself, what the hell? And it's okay. Say it to yourself, work through it in your head. But just know that no matter how many times you say, what the hell, when you wake up and that person is loving on you, that person is respecting you, that person is putting you first, you're going to still say, what the hell? So thank you all for joining me for today. I hope that if you are in a relationship, that you are not only asking yourself what the hell, but you are willing, as Crush said, to get to the other side. Have a great day. Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know, because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.